Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. My name is Qasim Rashid. I'm a human rights lawyer who works right here in Naperville. And in addition to the comments made by my colleagues, I just want to talk about a few concerns that I've seen raised about this ordinance. One, I think the city staff has already addressed the supremacy clause issue. This is not a non-issue here. This ordinance would not supersede the U.S. Constitution by any stretch of the imagination. The fact remains the Supreme Court has already settled this in Prince versus United States in 1997, that we cannot have a federal government and have local authorities enforce federal law. So this is not a supremacy clause issue. Moreover, what we're talking about is requiring a judicial warrant. So this ordinance is actually calling on the upholding of the Fourth Amendment. The problem with ICE right now is we have ICE memos that are clear that they no longer require warrants to conduct searches and seizures, to go into people's homes. This should frighten anyone, regardless of whether you're a staunch Republican or a staunch Democrat or anywhere in between. If we are violating the Fourth Amendment, we are undermining the basic due process of what makes this a functioning democratic republic. You study international human rights law, domestic human rights law, and you recognize that the failure of a government to protect due process is the first major sign that fascism has crept in. And so it is critical that on a local level, we maintain and require there to be due process of law. And finally, there is historical precedent about this in combating the atrocities of apartheid South Africa. It was municipalities that led the charge nationwide to divest their investments from apartheid South Africa. They were called unconstitutional by federal legislators. In fact, the pressure became so powerful on the municipal level that it helped pass Congress and override a veto by President Reagan. And now, historically, we looked at those municipalities, nearly 1,000 of them, who took the lead on this, where the federal government was failing, and we recognized that they were on the right side of history. That is what we're calling for here. And finally, I'll make the economic argument as well. The latest economic study shows that as a result of ICE arbitrarily arresting people, there have been 5 billion fewer visits to retail stores. This is crushing our small businesses, is destroying our economy. And now we have the benefit of hindsight. We know from DHS's own data that last summer in Chicago, 97.4% of the people that they arbitrarily arrested had no criminal record whatsoever. We have the data, we have the Constitution, we have the economic argument. All we need is your moral courage to vote to pass this ordinance so people in Naperville know that this is a city that will uphold due process of law, uphold the Constitution, and say no in the face of fascism, not because it's a Republican or Democratic priority, but because it is an American and constitutional priority. Thank you.